guys?
Hello.
Wow. It's so
Okay,
weird.
so in chapter 2 is on HBO now, so I watched it and I was like, hello.
Hello, Georgie. Yeah, so weird. What's up, guys? We're back.
We're back, and amidst all the COVID-19 craziness, quarantine, it took us a while to figure out how to get back to you guys, but now we have figured it out, and as you can see, we are in a different space.
Different location.
Different location.
Yeah.
Coming to you from the basement.
No, literally the basement. This is the bunker. So, we are protected from zombies and hopefully COVID-19.
I am Lilac.
And I'm Nightshade. And welcome to the Lack of Shade Review.
Welcome. So let's get into it, which is a new segment that's coming up. Y'all look out for that.
After Hours with Nightshade, coming soon.
With our Black Spotlight. And the first person we're going to honor is Anthony C. Hood. He is a UAB alum. And his undergraduate degree, he got his undergraduate degree there and his MBA there. And he received the Most Distinguished Alumni Award in 2019. And UAB, if you're watching, I would like to be nominated for that award eventually. I'm going to work my way up.
Same here.
So that I can get there. But anyway, congratulations to him. He was an electrical engineer with Bell South and AT&T, supporting startup telecom companies in the firm's wholesale division. And there he was honored with the Pinnacle Award, the company's highest honor for productivity and leadership. So this is a very busy and clearly very busy and productive guy.
Yeah.
He got his PhD at the University of Alabama in 3 years and completed programs at the Harvard School of Business, Stanford, and the Morehouse School of Medicine.
Good Lord.
So this guy is like near genius level or genius level and beyond.
Right.
Okay. This past year, he received the A.G. Gatson Award for leading tomorrow's business leaders. So you all remember when we talked about A.G. Gatson. So he's kind of following in his footsteps.
I'm trying to transcend a little higher. Look like me.
Yeah, he's trying to go beyond. But that's the goal, right? It's like when the people come before you build the foundation and you start building the building. And then we're going to have skyscrapers. That's the goal.
Right. Right.
He is on several boards in the city, including the Woodlawn Foundation, which is a foundation that does a lot of good work in the Woodlawn area. Shout out to David Dada, who heads that up. And he is on the board for the Birmingham Housing Authority.
Nice.
So, Dr. Hood, I've worked with him via email a couple of times. He's a very nice man, very accomplished, very concerned about the community. So we just want to give him a shout out and say thank you for all the work that you've done so far, because he does do a lot of work with businesses in the area. And especially now with everything going on, that's very important. So shout out to you, Dr. Hood.
Sure. Okay,
the next person we're going to talk about is Miss T. Marie King. She's like one of my favorite people in Birmingham.
Right.
She is 100% just totally awesome and cool. So let's talk about her a little bit. She has a bachelor's degree from Bethune Heights University in Urban and Global Economic Development, which I didn't know you could get a degree in. I think if I had known about it, I probably would have tried my hand at that. She has 2 master's degrees from Luther Rice University in Leadership and Religious Studies.
Nice.
She's an accomplished civil rights activist and trainer, which means she goes around to different places and she gives speeches and talks and seminars about, inclusion, diversity, healing communities and bringing people together. So she does all that type of work. I've heard her speak several times. She's amazing. And like I said, she's had several speaking engagements across the country. So people literally pay her to come and tell them how to act. tell them how to act.
Nice.
So in 2018, she won the Shining Star Award for Empowerment of Women and Girls from the National Organization of the Black Elected Legislative. So once again, another very accomplished person that came out of the UAB scope. I think she used to work for UAB, and I think she taught a couple classes there as well. Mm-hmm. She's my personal, like, she doesn't know it, but she's like my mentor secretly.
So if you're watching this, Miss T. Marie King, please mentor this woman. I've been telling her to reach out to you forever, so now we're actually on the airways reaching out to you.
Yes.
So mentorship is definitely needed and requested.
Please.
Via Lilac. So it's out there.
Yeah, she's just an awesome lady, and I know I've met her a couple of times, and every time I see her, she acts like she remembers who I am. So I'm always grateful for that. So shout out to you, Miss T. Marie King, and thank you for all you do.
Speaking of mentorship, I've done research on Dr. Hood. If you're watching, sir, hit me up. We need to talk. You have a lot of things going, and a lot of things. Your path is very similar to the path that I want to go on, but there's some things here and there. So definitely, we need to link up and talk. Like, seriously.
All right. So.
Yes.
What they talking about? So, again, when we wrote this episode, the coronavirus had just kicked off.
Right.
And then it, like, exploded. So, there's been so many things that happened between when we, posted our last episode and now. And so, we're going to kind of play catch up. This virus has changed our whole world.
Yes.
As you all know, like the lockdown, everybody's at home. Like, I'm at home with my family. Mm-hmm. And like, I just want to say, thankfully, my mom had, not thankfully, but my mom had like a little accident and hurt her ankle, which prevented her from going back to work. Right. When all this stuff kicked off. Right. And so that was like a blessing in disguise. Now she's a mover and a shaker, so being on lockdown is hard for her, but it was kind of a blessing because she was able to get inside the house before everything kicked off. Plus, all kids are out of school, so my kid is at home. So it's been 3 of us. It's been interesting, but we get to spend that extra time together because usually, like, we're like ships in the night. We're just passing through. Right. So we've gotten this time together. So that's the silver lining to all of this. But the cloud is coronavirus. Yeah. And if you look at our Instagram page, I had a scare where I thought I had it, and I was like, oh snap, because we have immune compromised people in our house, and so like if I got it, then everybody else is gonna get it, and that could have been bad. But thankfully, through the power of prayer, I didn't have it. I had like a little fever, and it went away in a couple of days. And so I guess I was just like tired from like running around and having to go to the grocery store on my own.
Yeah, and the stress and being freaked out. It's a lot going on, man. Yeah. And a lot of people are not used to being in each other's space, so it's kind of interesting. Funny thing, really, it's not funny, but it's kind of comical in a way, though. The divorce rate, the petition for divorces has exponentially increased. Apparently, people can't get along. So I'm trying to figure out, like, who you thought you was living with,
it's different, right? When you have to be around your partner 24/7 with no break.
But that's scary.
That's a test.
But here's the thing.
A testament to your relationship.
It's a testament to your relationship, but also the scary thing about it is, like, how many of these couples really know each other? Because here's the thing, like, you move and you go, especially if you have a really busy life, but you're forced to be together. Like, it really shouldn't change. I get people have their nicks and knacks and their things that they don't like about each other. I get that. That's inevitable. But to the point where you're like, I want a divorce. Like,
well, and the flip side of that is like a lot of people that are experiencing domestic violence.
Oh man, yeah.
And they have to stay in the house with their abuser. That rate has grown exponentially.
And with children too.
So like if you're in one of those houses where you're experiencing that, just know that there are things out things and places out there that can help you.
Right.
There's so many organizations that have been putting out, throwing up the bat signal saying, if you need help, here's the instructions on how to help.
Mm-hmm.
We can provide shelter and all this stuff, even in the midst of all this going on. So that's important to note, because that's a thing that I didn't even think about.
Right.
Like, you don't get a break. And if that person potentially, either lost their job or they're furloughed right now, or they can't go to work every day for whatever reason.
You never know the emotional, mental state of people at this point in time, especially people that don't know how to handle the pressure, they don't know how to vent the right way. They may take it out on someone else, which is not cool. So, yeah.
Right. So, we're just... if you've gotten the virus, or somebody in your family has gotten the virus, that's stressful on its own. So, just know that we're thinking about you and we're praying for you, because this virus is no joke.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my 30 plus years of living. So, I don't know. It's a new world. So
got to prepare for it, if anything. I guess moving forward, speaking of COVID-19, we have some very interesting individuals. Pastors, okay? The old pastors out there doing their thing. Now listen, before we get started on this is not a shot at ministers. This is not that. Okay?
No, it's not a shot at the Christian religion either.
Right.
Because there are plenty of pastors out there
that are doing the right thing. And there are others that are. We feel that they're not doing the right thing. We're gonna put it in a little as an individual bubble per se. Our perspective, we feel that they should be doing things other than what they're doing. So hold on. This particular section we call is the pastors refusing to close churches via their First Amendment rights. And that's their cause, or their.
As a preface, again, there are plenty of pastors who realize the danger, that don't want to put their members in danger of contracting the virus, that have figured out a way to engage with their congregation without harming them. Right. We have ministers and pastors in our families that have, made it work through Facebook and YouTube and, reaching out through social media. My pastor...
My grandfather, he's a pastor. I'm working on getting his ministry going via video teleconference, things like that. Yeah,
my pastor, Pastor Van Moody, does a prayer call with his congregation every morning at 7 a.m. And then his services are broadcast through the app for our church, and YouTube and Facebook and all this kind of stuff. Right. There are so many ways to still engage with your congregation without putting them in danger. Right. I've seen churches do parking lot services where everybody stays in their car and they're still practicing physical or social distancing. But Pastor Tony Spell has decided to ignore all of that and continue to have services within his church.
And I mean, it's not like 10, 15, 20, not even 100. It's like thousands of people. And people are like coming from a ways to be a part of this. So Pastor Tony Spell is the pastor of the Life Tabernacle Church in Central Louisiana. Apparently, Pastor Spell is facing 6 misdemeanor counts violating the governor's order for holding 6 large services. That was earlier. He's done more since then, but this is earlier. One of the services was held, was an estimated 500 people, and he had a funeral repast of about 100 people. The most recent, and this was not as recent now, this was Palm Sunday. He had a Palm Sunday service where he hosted about 1,200 people, and some of those traveled over 100 miles just to attend the service. Pastor Tony claims that his services cures cancer and HIV.
Okay, let's pull over here. I want to address a couple of things that he just said.
Right, you gotta stop him. You bring it to the point. Go ahead.
Okay, so we just talked about how all these pastors have figured out a way to still reach their congregation without endangering them. He has blatantly ignored the governor and what the federal government has said about social distancing. Mm-hmm. All these healthcare experts that have said no more than 10 people, and he has clearly had way more than that in his congregation. Now, I've seen videos of him talk a couple times, and he said, "Oh, we've made sure the church is clean. We're practicing social distancing."
He's saying that's 6 feet apart.
I don't know how you can practice that with over 1,000 people in your church.
That's really difficult.
I don't.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but I feel like it's.
Just say it. You don't feel it's true.
I don't think it's true. I don't know how you could.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how big your church, the actual building is, right. I just don't think you're doing that.
Right.
He also has been on record, him along with another minister in Florida, have been on record as saying that the coronavirus was fake.
Oh, man.
And it was a ploy to take down the current administration. That's a whole nother thing that we can get into later. But honestly, like, if you're not listening to the healthcare professionals and the people that have been studying this virus and knowing this virus, then that's ignorance. And God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to tempt God.
Yeah. And
I think what you're doing is tempting God.
Yeah.
Because
this and I agree. You know, and this is a really hard subject to really deal with, because on the flip side of the coin, you have the ministers arguing, okay, this is a ploy to keep people out of the church and keep people from worshiping and from interacting with God's people. And then on the other side of this coin, you have those saying that no, that's not the case. It's just that we're trying to keep people from dying and getting infected because we have no idea what we're dealing with in regards to COVID-19. We have no vaccinations. We we're just now starting to understand how it operates. And then the things that we thought how it operated is now saying that it's possibly mutating. So this situation is very difficult, but at the same time, it's very simple. It's difficult when you're a Christian and you want to worship and you want to be with the people of God, and you want to follow your leadership in regards to ministers, but it's also simple when it comes to just doing the right thing. I mean, and it's a really difficult situation to deal with, because you have people on one side that wants to worship, that wants to be with God's people, and others, that are like, and then you got the medical professor just saying it's not that we're trying to stop you from interacting, we're just telling you to separate yourself for a little bit and allow us to figure out a way to try to stop this from happening. Because as you know, if you're watching the news, the government is not helping. It's not doing the right thing. Now you have Dr. Fauci, Fauci, how you say his name, is out there trying to put out information and trying to do his best to get it right. But when you have somebody above him that's not giving the right information or leading in the right direction, it's really hard. And then on top of that, I didn't know that these gentlemen said that it was fake. Like, first off, I'm trying to understand. I can't wrap my head around how could you consider yourself a leader of anything and not take this serious. Whether it was fake or not, you still treat it like it's an issue until it's proven different. Numbers don't lie, okay? There were an astronomical amount of people dying overseas before it came over here. That should have been enough. And for the leadership to just say these type of things, it's just really frustrating for me, because not only did you fail your flock, you failed. You failed by not leading by example, because people follow you and watch you, and it's your responsibility to lead the right way.
I mean, obviously, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but also He gave us a brain to use to think.
Yes.
And use caution.
And common sense, man. Common sense. I mean, don't interact with more than 10 people. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even saying that church services can't be done. Like, people have services. They just do it within the parameters of what's given to them. Mm-hmm. And when you just deliberately disobey, like, how can you call yourself a man of God when you just deliberately disobey the authority over you? I mean, that's just one of the things that I think. Didn't Jesus tell us that we're supposed to abide by the laws? I mean, so I don't understand. Now, here's another thing. Pastor Tony claims his services cured cancer and HIV. I want to jump on that real quick. I believe in miracles. I believe in the power of God. I believe in the blood of Jesus. And I believe that the blood of Jesus, not man, but the blood of Jesus cures and heals and delivers all things. You understand? So for this man to say this, okay, that's a really hard platform and a really heavy stance a heavy lace to stand on, because now everybody's waiting for, what if somebody gets sick from COVID-19? And I just read an article recently that said that somebody in his congregation supposedly died from COVID-19. Now, he claims it's a lie, but who knows?
I mean, and there's not enough information out there to know whether that's true or not.
Right.
I guess he's another Dr. Sebi. Although, I think Dr. Sebi had actual proof that he did cure HIV and cancer.
Right.
But that's another subject.
Right.
I've done my research on Dr. Sebi, and, it's a toss bag. But I would like to believe that it can happen. But, without, enough evidence on either end from this pastor or Dr. Sebi, then we never really know.
Right.
If,
we
meet
don't.
the people.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I mean, if you meet the person that's actually been cured from cancer and say they have no more symptoms, or has been cured from HIV and says no more symptoms, unless you actually meet those people and say, yes, I have been cured, we don't know. We're just going by hearsay, right? So,
and you got plenty of ministers out there that's playing the game. So
yeah,
you never know. He's got a couple quotes that he had, and one is quotes in regards to rebelling against the governor's order is, no dictator law should keep people from worshiping God.
Okay, let's stop right there. Nobody said that you couldn't worship God. No one said that.
That's why
they just said you can't worship him inside the church house.
Right.
The church is more than four walls, guys.
Right.
I know you all. Anybody
people,
that's a
man.
believer knows.
Well, should know. It's the people, not the building.
It's the people, not the building.
Right.
Which I think it's like, okay, so you remember on Ragnarok?
Yes.
Yeah. When what's the character's name that Idris Elba played?
Idris. Heimdall.
Heimdall said that not Valhalla, but what's the place they live in? Why can't I remember any of this?
Asgard.
Asgard is a people.
Nerd moment. Go ahead.
Slight nerd moment because I couldn't remember.
Right.
Asgard is not a place. It's a people. It's the same concept.
Right.
Church is not a place. It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the congregation. Yeah. It's the church. It's the pastor. It's the leader. It's the Bible. It's the word. It's not just the four walls. You can have church without being inside the four walls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next quote, he said, the coronavirus is politically motivated. Oh my God.
So here it is.
Regardless of the order,
confirmation
he
of what we said
continues
earlier.
to lead hundreds of people to church services. I mean, man, honestly, there's really nothing else that we can say about this. I mean, he's putting people at risk. But wait, let me go further. Let's
not act like what he's doing isn't political also.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
It's definitely politically motivated.
He definitely can't separate himself from being from his statement being politically motivated by what you just said earlier, with him saying that it was fake in a way to bring down the administration. I mean, and my rebuttal to that is, no one needs to do anything. The administration to bring themselves down, because they're doing a horrible job. Just put it out there. Any Trump supporters, okay, I'm sorry. I mean, you voted for him. Continuing on.
We're not going to talk about Trump right now.
I'm good. I'm not. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just made it. I'm just saying. I didn't do it. I didn't go after anything. I just made a comment that was just very true.
We are going to not talk about Trump right now.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, moving on.
I think our something that we found out recently. Apparently, Pastor Spells is saying he's asking people to donate their stimulus checks. So he's quoted saying, "You should donate it to evangelists, North American evangelists who haven't had an offering in a month, missionaries who haven't had an offering in a month, music ministers who haven't had an offering in a month." And that's his spiel. He gave this on a video not too long ago, about a week ago or something like that. And so he wants people to donate their stimulus checks, and I think it's a noble thing to do that. But there's some sketches, and I'm gonna let hit that with the sketches. This lady, I know she's itching.
Here's my problem.
Here you go.
There are people who have legitimately lost their jobs. They're not just furloughed, or they're not just working from home. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't have a job anymore.
Right.
Like, their job has gone. Like, the place that they were working at, because of what has happened, places that were already under financial strain had to just completely shut down permanently. And people have lost their jobs. And even after all of this is over and we go back to normal, those people still won't have jobs.
Right.
And so the stimulus check was to help them try to have some semblance of, okay, this is some money I can have
an income
for now until I figure out what my next step is going to be after all of this is over.
Right.
That might be all that they're getting.
And this is just a one-time payment, people. And if you have no kids, like, the only people that's really making bank right now are those that have children, because you get the even 12 then, plus whatever.
That extra $500, that's nothing. That'll go in a week.
Yeah.
Depending on what you have to do, because you gotta. If you're teaching at home, like I am having to do, you gotta buy supplies. Right. You gotta make sure your internet is up and running.
Or get internet if you didn't have it before. Or get
internet if you didn't have it before. Mm-hmm. Some people are having to go get laptops for the house if they didn't already have them. So that extra $500, and then food, because these kids eat.
Yes.
My kid, I swear.
Trash compactors.
Good Lord.
Trash compactors.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy all this food, and this should last us for the week. And guess how long it lasts? At the most, 3 days.
One pizza, that's you're spending about $50 on pizza because of what many kids want. You got to at least get, like, several pizzas, depending on how many kids you have.
Exactly. And then just regular grocery food. My kid can go through a whole pot of chili by himself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He love bean sprout. That's what he is.
But, to ask people who are struggling. Now, not all of us are struggling. Not all of us have lost our jobs.
Right.
But, things are pretty precarious right now.
Right.
And the stimulus check was not meant for you to donate, because a lot of those people who are missing the tithes, and they're missing their paycheck from the church, they also got stimulus checks.
Right.
So it's not like they're not getting something that we're all getting.
Right.
So I think that's kind of
irresponsible.
Anyway. Like, obviously, you can tithe off of that money.
Right.
Which several people are doing and have done.
Right. And I will say this. I mean, even if you are motivated to donate to a church, you obviously do whatever God put on your heart.
Yeah, that's your decision.
Right. But, and flip side of things, they ain't got to donate the whole thing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You could, whatever
whatever
you
is in your heart.
Right.
See, my whole problem with churches in general and the tithing thing.
Biblically, you only obligated to give 10%. No more, no less. Anything else is something that you offering from the goodness of your heart. But biblically, you are only bound by 10% via the word of God.
I have opinions on that. We're going to have a whole conversation and maybe an episode where we talk about pastors and tithes and everything.
I'm game. Just the church altogether, because we're going to have a whole thing about the church altogether. And because I have personal feelings about it, she has personal feelings about it. And it's something we have conversations about continuously. So
I'm going to say this part and this little part, and we can move on.
Right.
The church is there to serve the people, not the other way around.
Yep, absolutely. And I have no argument with that, and I agree wholeheartedly. And to be continued on that conversation, people. To be continued.
if you are asking for money, then I hope that money is being used to help people who don't have anything.
Right.
That, need food, they need shelter, they need clothing. They just, if there are people out there that needs financial support and you're asking people who have more money to give to you, I hope that money is not just going into your pocket.
Okay. No. We're not doing this. No.
All right, I'm going to move on.
No.
I said, we're going to have a whole...
Yeah, because I already see the road you're going down. That's a rabbit hole. No, because we ain't even get to the next part. We're going to that. That's because you're going to get me involved. No, not today. So
moving on.
This next section we titled it called "The Argument of the First Amendment Rights Being Violated," and the first guy at bat would be Pastor Rodney Howard Brown.
This is the one that
it's in Florida.
Yeah, that was in Florida that said that coronavirus was a hoax.
Right. This gentleman is at the Revival International Ministries, and he also pastors at the River at the Tampa Bay Church in Florida. Okay, so he was one of the first pastors that resisted stay-at-home order as a violation of his First Amendment rights. He was arrested for leading 2 large worship services on Sunday, and that was a couple of Sundays ago.
So, once again, you didn't have to be in the church house to have church. You could still have church.
Right. I mean...
Again, like we said at the top of this, there are several pastors that have figured out a way to still have church without actually being inside the church.
That's true. I mean, no, it's not. It's
no one said that you majority. Had to stop worshiping.
The interesting thing, I have some numbers I'm going to present in regards to what you were saying. But with Pastor Howard Brown, okay, this is what he's charged with unlawful assembly and violation of public health emergency rules, and both are second-degree misdemeanors. Now, I got a couple quotes from this gentleman, and just one long one, and this is what he said. He said, "I know the sheriff said we can't hide behind the First Amendment, but we can because I was sworn in as a citizen of the Constitutional Republic of the United States, and I raised my hand to pledge to defend the Constitution of America against enemies, foreign and domestic." And this is something that he said during a Facebook Live, on one of his Monday services. And then he says, "The nation is under attack, and whatever you give up this side, you'll never get it back." So he's creating a whole battleground situation with his argument. It's very, very, very interesting. Go ahead.
Well, if people get the coronavirus and they lose their life, they're not going to get that back either.
Oh yeah, I mean, and this thing, I mean, the death toll has not stopped, people. I mean, I don't have to. I mean, I'm not insulting anybody to tell you guys watch the news. I mean, you see it. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing about it. And it's the ways you can get it is just the ways you get it just keep going up. Or you can do this, you can do that, and comes this, and comes that. How long it lives, it keeps changing. So you just the learning what we're dealing with that's the task, and then people respecting what's happening. Getting people to respect what's happening, that is the task.
Well, I'll just say one thing, because he said he took an oath. I think he wasn't born in America. Mm-hmm. He immigrated here. Mm-hmm. He's from South Africa, mm-hmm. and that's I'm going to say this. I'm going to just say it. A white man from South Africa. Mm. So, if y'all know the history of what happened in South Africa and what is still happening in South Africa, that should be enough for you to know where he stands. Mm. Well,
continuing on, I think that's probably the most notorious statement so far that I think all the pastors said. And he argued that it makes no sense that churches are being closed while stores like Walmart, Costco's, and Lowe's Home Improvement are being allowed to operate. Restaurants, he highlighted, are also being allowed to serve takeout despite a clear risk of spreading the virus. He said, as long as you keep Lowe's open and Walmart open and Costco's and every other place you can go in there, talk about social distancing. I mean, it's insane. There are so many holes in this thing. Even the people who deliver the food. How do you know where the food has been cooked? Who's making it? How do you know that they don't have the virus? That is a very, very, very interesting statement. Very Bold statement and very true statement. You don't know, but that right there should make you want to be just as cautious, if not more cautious. Especially with a flock, with your flock, and then having countless people interact with life outside of the church, everywhere that you don't know where people have been, and the problem is those people are doing something or somewhere, because everybody's not staying home. Everybody has some have to go to work, and then they come in your congregation, and they could be getting all 50 to 100 to 1,000 of your members sick by eating at those restaurants, going to Walmart, going to Costco's, and all these places that you're talking about. Like, I get what you're saying, and I respect that, but at the same time, it still does not give you the right to separate yourselves from the law. You're not above the law. No one's above the law. You have to abide by the law. And on top of that, not how, but what does that have to do with your First Amendment rights? Abiding by the law. You tell me, explain that to me.
I mean, here's my thing. You cannot eat virtually. Like, people still have to eat and like get what they can to clean their homes, to make sure, everything is sanitized. Right. Now, whenever I get food from a place, or if I go to the grocery store or Lowe's, I haven't had a reason to go to Lowe's. That Lowe's and Home Depot being open was kind of questionable to me, but that's neither here or there. But, if I go to Walmart, I'm taking everything out of those bags. I'm throwing bags away. I'm wiping everything down.
Hot water, Clorox, Lysol, everything.
Before I put it away. And then restaurants have been taking extra precautions. They have less people working in their restaurants. Everybody's gloved up. Everybody's sanitized.
And masked up even.
And masked up. There's been extra precautions put in place to protect the public. I think even some stores have gone to the point where they're taking people's temperatures before and after they leave work to make sure that there's nothing going on with them. Even with all that, there's also still the risk of somebody having the virus without any symptoms visible. So, those stores and things are open because there are necessities within those stores. Again, Lowe's and Home Depot are questionable, but like Walmart and Costco, you have to buy food for your family. You can't. Yeah. I mean, that's just something you have to do. Right. Now, unless you're giving away free meals at every service, which are you?
Right.
Are you giving away food at your services for people that need them? Since you don't think Costco and Walmart should be open,
and I haven't heard anybody doing that. That's a good observation.
There have been churches and ministries and things that have been working to get food to people. Okay. Greater Birmingham Ministries has definitely been one of those here in our state, in our area, that have been working to get food to people.
And big ups to all the schools that are giving lunches to the kids. Big ups to that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
But now, while you're saying all this, are you going to be providing, along with your church services, all the essential things that people need inside their homes while they're quarantining? Because if you're not, then
yeah, I mean, what's the point? Huh? Moving on, there. I was telling you, it was a poll. It was a test. Okay, so a private test poll of 226 pastors conducted by the Barna Research on March 20 through the 23rd, and it showed that while a vast majority of pastors, about 67%, have opted to close their churches to observe social distancing orders in the light of the pandemic, 5% said that they will remain open as normal. Another 17% said that they plan on staying open for small gatherings or meetings, and 11% will remain open to offer crisis services. And like I said, the ones that are doing the small gatherings, the ones that are offering for the crisis services, there's nothing wrong with that. My grandfather, my pastor, he opens the church for about 2-3 hours to meet and greet, and also offer counseling, and also to collect tithes. So, and it's also an alternate way, a virtual way. If you don't want to get out, it's a virtual way via PayPal to pay your tithes, online or whatever. And like I said, when it comes to tithes, man, I like when it's used the right way, and when it's used to, better the church, because let's be real, the thing's not gonna pay for itself, and it has, certain things has to be done. But I digress on that.
You know what I find interesting? That now everybody's all like, oh, I'm not going to let the government tell me what to do, and oh, the police can't stop me from doing this, that, and the other. It's real interesting that now you have a different view on the police. But when, we've been saying all along that there's been things structurally that's not right with this country, and structurally, not saying all policemen are bad, because not all of them are. Yeah. There's things wrong with the police force and the way they operate. Silence.